Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. In our community, we know that to win in investing, you must take risks, but to win big, you've got to reduce it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on a mission to help 1 million people reduce risk in their lives. And I want to thank you for joining this mission. Today, we're going to have a special guest and a great discussion. So, my fellow risk takers, as I say, this is your worst. Podcast host Andrew Stotz from A Stotz Academy, and I'm here with featured guest Damon Pistulka. Damon, are you ready to rejoin the mission?
I certainly am, Andrew, and thanks for having me today.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back on. I know for the listeners out there, you can hear Damon's story, and that was about being careful about concentration risk. And he talked about that in episode 649. So go back and listen to that. But let me introduce Damon to the audience again and tell you a little bit about what he's doing. We just had a fun conversation. I think he's got a lot he can bring us. So Damon is co-founder of Exit Your Way. He's known for his hands-on approach, practical approach to helping business owners maximize value and achieve successful exits. With over 20 years of experience, Damon is dedicated to transforming businesses, enhancing profitability, and helping founders create lasting legacies. Damon, tell us what you're up to these days. What are the things that are really got you worked up? And then we'll dig into them. But what would you say are the core topics you'd like to talk about today?
Well, for me right now, the last year has really been a journey on understanding technology. And, I do a lot of work with manufacturers. I do a lot of work with e-commerce companies. And some people think that these companies are whiz bang, got all the technology. But when you look at a lot of manufacturers and even e-commerce companies, they're still operating the same way they did a number of years ago. Manufacturers, I think, a little bit more than others, but I'm really into technology because of the fact that to grow value today, it's never easy to grow value. And there's still opportunities to be acquiring businesses and growing value, but that's not usually the way that people are doing it in the smaller business setting, right? And even though we're helping people acquire businesses and doing some small roll-ups with our clients, it really comes down again to how can we be really, really good with technology in our business so that our marketing is good, our customer service is good, we have really good performance with our business. And so I've spent the last year really looking at things like robotic process automation. And I mean like electronic moving data kind of things, and looking at what do CRMs really do? And is AI really applicable in a business now? And how is it applicable? Because if we're not adapting these things, what I'm finding is, even though I'm trying to keep abreast of this and reading about it every day and talking to people about it every day, these things are moving so fast now that I feel we're at a precipice of two things happening. In some of these industries, especially like manufacturing, we've got a tremendous amount of knowledge that's walking out the door with retirement. And we don't have a lot of young people coming in, and we don't have a lot of innovation coming in around the things that I'm talking about. And the companies that are doing these innovations are really going, hey, I know we've been able to sell $20 million or whatever it is a year in our manufacturing business because we do good products, we do good services, and we've always had, these people in the field doing sales. But they're all getting ready to retire, and our buyers are starting to change because our buyers aren't their age anymore. Our buyers are in their 30s and 40s, and they buy differently, and they need different things, and our customer expectations are way different. So that's the journey I've been on, and I'm super passionate about it because it is what I believe is going to allow people to take off and succeed, or they're going to die a slow death.
So for business owners out there, mid-size, small size, large size business owners, particularly manufacturers, but can be any type of business owners, listen up, because there are waves. There's a tsunami basically coming, and it's already here to some extent. We've seen the beach line, the beach water has receded, and everybody's playing with AI and all that. But what most people don't realize is now soon that tsunami will come and it'll wipe us out if we haven't thought about, as you said, technology, robotics, CRM, AI. So let's frame it that way for everybody that's listening. This is an opportunity to understand the tsunami that's coming.
Yes. Yes, it really is. And I mean, we don't have to go into big complex systems. We have to start with the simple practical things and the expectations of current customers today, right? People around the globe are used to being able to buy off of places like Amazon, and they know when they're going to get their products. They know that it's going to show up about the time they said. They can look through all these kind of things. And these are the typical buyers, even for industrial buyers now. They want those same kind of things. So when it used to be that I was able to have somebody email me a purchase order, and then I would have to enter the information in, my customer service people would enter it in, and then maybe send them an order acknowledgement, maybe, and it was a PDF, and when they needed more of them, they would do that. I mean, that all has to change because your buyer today wants to be able to do that at 7 o'clock at night on Friday night, Sunday morning. They want to do it Tuesday at 8 a.m., but they also want to have instant feedback and understand where that is at. They want to be able to place an order with you, and they want to be able to, and in the US here, we have Domino's Pizza.
Mm.
And I love they came out with, I forget what they call it, the pizza tracker or something. But you could, when my kids were small, we would order the pizza and they would watch the pizza tracker and it would say, we're kneading the dough now. It's in the oven. It's, getting it. It's in the car for delivery. And this is the kind of stuff that our customers today want to know because they're being asked.
Mm.
They get this information from other places now when they order stuff. They don't care that we're a manufacturer here, that we're making, we could be making snowblowers, or we could be making lawnmowers, or we could be whatever it is that we're making that they need. They don't care. They want that same level of service. And they also want to learn a lot more about your products. So these things are driving innovation like nobody's business, especially when you think about the technologies being simple that can do this today, applying them in your business, and the impact that has long term, just from simple things like Andrew places an order with me today, and I say, thanks, Andrew. The last time you placed an order with us, you bought this too. Do you need that as well?
Mm.
The simple things that we can do with
Yeah.
technology today make the customer experience so much better. It doesn't matter if it's an industrial customer or if I'm buying my favorite, gift or craft thing, whatever, it doesn't matter. The lines have been blurred between I'm buying industrial products from this place, or I'm buying my favorite, like I said, craft supplies. Expectations don't really change that much anymore with people.
So let me summarize what I think I'm hearing from you about three threats. The first threat I'm calling a tsunami of accelerated innovation. Like,
Yep.
it's just coming with how that's advancing. The second threat is retirements. As societies age, we're getting more and more retirements, and we're not able to replace that with with the same type of people. Also, I would say in the US in particular, you've education levels have gone down so long and so bad that you may not even have the engineering talent that's walking out the door in retirement. And so, yes, you've got tech savvy and good consumers, but the technology that you need and the engineering smarts may not even be there. So that's the second one. And then the third one is I would say what you're describing is nowadays, go back 20, 30 years ago. We only had so many customers we could buy from. We went on the internet, we went to the phone book, we went around our neighborhood and we asked people. And so we were exposed to only a small number of sellers. But now buyers are getting used to the service levels of the most advanced operators. And now
Yes,
that's what you got to beat. Those are
exactly.
my three ones that I got: accelerated innovation, retirements, and advanced operators are killing us.
Yeah, you're right. Because the the edge, don't forget the education, because I think that's a huge one as well. But this retirement and the lack of education, qualified and educated people to fill that void is something where I see some really cool systems coming to play, especially an example that I'll give you, a company that I get to work with them a little bit once in a while. We play in what they're doing, and it's Gen Alpha Technologies. And what they've got is for OEMs, like say I'm an OEM manufacturer of street sweepers or something like that, but I want to sell my products through distribution and retailers and all that, but I have to have customer service people inside. What we're doing with them is what they're doing is they're taking the knowledge from their 20 plus year customer service people, and they're putting it into their system so that when someone goes to buy something, they're saying, hey, I need to do an oil change on this unit. I need that filter. Well, the customer service person now has, don't you need all this other stuff? And do you want me to walk you through that? Because I've got the instructions here. I could either send them to you or we can go over them on the phone. I've got the, whatever, a video I can send you, all the different kind of stuff to really give that customer service person a ton of extra knowledge when they're on the phone or they're communicating with those customers, to be able to close that gap for the very thing you said, because Stan left, he's not there anymore. And Susan's in there now, and she's doing the best she can, but she doesn't have 25 years of experience. But what we did is we took 25 years of experience, put it into a system that she can easily operate, because in systems, younger people work really well. And if you give them the knowledge, they can easily give it to others and help them with it. So these things, they're simple. I mean, when you think of the things that we can do to help bridge these gaps, they're simple, but the company that doesn't do that, as you said, and if they're competing against the company that does that, how much different of a customer service experience is that?
Yeah. And what's interesting too is that, well, first of all, being in Asia, I'm sorry about the U.S. education system, and I'm sorry that the U.S. government has let down young people by allowing education to crash and crash and crash for 30 consecutive years.
Yes.
Sorry about that. But that's not the problem in Asia. Here, they are accelerating their education. They are trying to improve their production systems. China is amazing now, that moving so advanced. And so, even listening to, right now we're in the middle of election season. So we hear both candidates talking about, bringing jobs back to America. To what? To what? Bringing it back to what? To a workforce that's not educated and not ready to take on those challenges? There is a huge opportunity in America to bring production back to America, but it's going to take a huge rethink about how you're going to actually achieve that. And I would agree that taking on AI and other, tech innovations can help leapfrog some of those problems, but you can't, let's say, when you dumb down an education system, you can't easily overcome that. In fact, as I like to say, you can't dumb down an education system and a people and not expect there to be consequences. There are massive consequences, and they are long-term. They're not easy to turn around.
This is true. And, some of the best operators that I work with are taking a global perspective on that as well. There's a few companies I know now that consider their engineering arms not in the US. They have their engineering arm, and it gives them several benefits. A, access to more educated people that can really understand what they do. B, they can almost get faster turnaround time, because if they're doing it right, they can keep projects moving faster and get a lot more done that way. And again, it's utilizing the technology and eliminating the geographical limitations that we put on ourselves to really maximize what our businesses truly can be.
So let's recap again. This is for business owners. You're a business owner. You should be listening to this. And what we're talking about ultimately is technology, robotics, CRM, AI, all of these things and how we can apply those. And we just want to help wake everybody up and wake you up to think, wait a minute, there's this rapid innovation that's outpacing what we can do in our businesses for a lot of older businesses. There's an aging workforce and there's limited new talent. And then you've got customers now expecting top tier service levels from a
Mm-hmm.
mid-tier company. These are the threats or the competitive forces. So now let's talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing, how you're working with clients, what you're learning, what you're sharing to help people think about how do I deal with this situation?
Yeah, I'm really lucky with what I get to do with clients, and it's around helping them find, develop the strategies. First of all,
Mm,
where are we behind? Where do we need to? What are low hanging fruit points? Because you never want to go, "Ooh, we're going to make this big system that's going to cure all our problems." That's not the way this works.
mm,
You start small. You look for little low hanging fruit ways to go, hey, what if we tried this little bit of technology here to see how that works? Oh, let's try a little bit over here, and then work your way up, because you need to get your company, your people, and all your supplier base, everybody comfortable with these changes you're making. And it's the best to go, this is a constant annoying problem that we think we can solve, and go in and solve the low hanging fruit that are not difficult first, and then work into it. So my job is primarily to talk to the smart people that know how to fix a lot of these things and know
mm.
how to practically fix these things, and then help to get the right things in front of clients, and then shepherd those clients through these processes. Because as we do that, we're organically helping those businesses to be more efficient and grow. And ultimately, by building a great business foundation, we're creating a business that's very valuable for the owner.
Mm. So don't try to do it all. Look at, simple strategies that you can do, low hanging fruit. And what I'm hearing from you too is look for experts that can advance that particular area. You happen to work with clients, but if somebody's hearing what you're saying, they see they have a problem, go out and try to find an expert that can accelerate that. I wanted to go back to something that you mentioned earlier about you mentioned about growing value of a business, growing the value of a business. And just for those people that may not totally understand that, let me explain that from a finance perspective. Basically, value is created with the gap between income and, let's say, the cost of money. Let's keep it general. The cost of money that a business gets to create its business and the return that it gets on that money in the future. And that's the simplest way. We get money into our business, we deploy it in such a way that we try to get the highest return that we can get on that in the future. And that cash flow stream that we're creating then needs to be discounted by some risk factor.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, if you ever hear anybody say that those greedy capitalists, they want to maximize profit, wrong, wrong. The objective of capitalists is to maximize value. A
Yes.
great example is, Amazon in the first 7 years it was listed, it lost money every single year. So was it destroying value? No, it was creating value. It was investing and then eventually created value. Of course, if you just lose money every year, you're going to basically eventually
Yes.
destroy value. So how do we grow value? Well, there's two ways that we can grow value. The first one is that we expand the gap between our cost of money and the return that we're earning. So we get a higher return. Great. But there's limits as high
Mm-hmm.
how high you can go because competitors are going to see that and they're going to come in. So the second one is that you bring your product and services to more people and get that spread from more and more people. So there's margin expansion and then there's growth ultimately. Now I
Yeah.
focus on profit because that's the simplest way to look at it. And
Mm-hmm.
so basically what my passion is profit. I love to help people think about how do I generate more profit out of this situation so that I have the resources to invest in my employees, my research and development, my tools and stuff so that I can bring better, better solutions to my clients. So that's a little bit of a recap of the concept of what you said, grow value from a finance perspective.
Yes, yes, that's a great way to explain it, because that's really, in the end, that's what you're trying to do with any business, is to increase the profitability, which increases the value of the business, and really then utilize that to continue developing ways. And this is what's so much fun, is when you start looking at these innovations and you start getting these little wins, the innovations oftentimes lead to bigger and bigger improvements. Or when it's really cool, you find these blue ocean strategies where you go, okay, now we're playing in an area that our competitors don't even know how to touch right now.
Mm.
Like, and speed is always a good one. Amazon's a great example of this. When they came out with Amazon Prime and they were saying, hey, we can deliver everything in, what was it, 24, 48 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Everybody said, no, we don't do that. You always have to wait, 3, 5, whatever days to get something ordered. Nope, 24 hours or 48, whatever it was. And that is an example of blue ocean strategy, because they went to a place that nobody else was willing to go. They couldn't do that without expedited delivery and all this other stuff. And how long did that last, and how big of an advantage did that give them? And it still continues today, even though other people have tried to duplicate it, and it's still, they're out there because they got out ahead of that with these innovations. And you do that. And if you think that and I always go back to manufacturing, because there's so many things, right? Especially if you're a contract manufacturer, and say I'm manufacturing assemblies for an automobile manufacturer. Well, at a certain point, like you said, I can't get more efficient on what I'm doing. I've robotically automated all this other stuff, but innovation and technology might allow me to do something that my competitors can't, because maybe I can manage the inventory for my entire supply chain for my customer, so
Mm.
I can better anticipate their needs, so they never run out of product no matter what happens. Just things like this that give us the advantage outside of our core products, that are so interesting with these bits of technology that you can
Mm.
implement.
Mm. The when I think about this, I think about the module in my profit boot camp about corporate strategy, and
Yeah.
basically, there's a couple lessons that I provide through that, and it comes from, true masters like Michael Porter, where he talks about the idea of making sure that um, that your competitive advantage is built into your supply chain, into your what
Mm-hmm.
I would call your cost of goods sold.
Yes.
And so once you've built it into that, it's very hard to replicate. And a great example he uses is IKEA and their flat boxes. If I was to take over a company and say that was competing with IKEA, and I was to say something like, yeah, we're going to use flat boxes only, that's going to be, an impossible challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's a
so,
great example of it,
yeah, and I'm going to
because
destroy my business basically. So the first thing is build it into the value chain. Second thing is I basically take away from all that I present in the profit boot camp is it's got to fit your DNA.
yeah.
And definitely the speed aspect of Amazon fit their DNA. And then
Yes.
you got to iterate and improve, 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 improve. And when you do those things, you build it into your supply chain, it fits your DNA, and then you just focus on it. It doesn't have to be, faster delivery. Come on. Who would say that would be a competitive advantage? Come on. That's like, oh, I can just go to UPS and ship faster or whatever. Nobody's going to think that that's a competitive advantage. But the fact is, anything can become a competitive advantage if you
Yes.
focus on it and if it fits your DNA. And the last thing I teach in that Profit Bootcamp module on corporate strategy is I asked the question: should strategy be private, secret, or public? And what I say is public, because
Mm-hmm.
actually you want your competitors to copy your strategy. Why? Because you are now bringing them onto your space of flat boxes, as an example, and let them rejigger their whole business around flat boxes. It's not in their DNA. They didn't do it from the beginning. It's not built into their
Yes.
value chain. And therefore, they're going to destroy themselves in the process. So as having mastered read many books on Genghis Khan and his attacks, He's constantly pulling other opponents onto his battlefield and then crushing them. And so, those are some of my thoughts about what you've just said.
Oh, I think it's 100% true because and you said the one point that really I think makes a difference. It's not in their DNA, because if it's not in your DNA, you're not going to be able to do this in your business. But if it is in your DNA and you can do it and you can refine it, you can transform industries. I mean, we all have the opportunity to transform industries if we find the right things that our customers desire, and we transform our entire business around that, so our customers are very happy that they're getting that. And it's a wonderful thing when it happens.
And that goes back to one of my first teachers, Dr. Deming. And I have another podcast that I'm the host of, the Deming Institute podcast, which is a great place to learn about the teachings of Dr. Deming. But what he said is, stop looking at your competitors and start looking at your customers. And
Yep.
basically, if anybody listening to this finds yourself having a discussion internally about benchmarking and saying our customer does this, but we don't do this, we do this, but our customer doesn't do that, we need to do this because our customers do that, you're doing it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is focus completely on the customer and completely on what your capabilities and your strengths are, and just keep building that, keep testing that, and keep bringing that to the customer. It doesn't mean you ignore the competitors, but the point is benchmarking off of competitors is one of the dumbest things to do. One of the smartest things to do is try to figure out with your customer what they need, and then
Mm-hmm.
start testing that out, and then eventually you build your competitive strength. So I like that. You talked about, developing strategies. You talked about low-hanging fruit. You talked about how you shepherd clients through a process of finding the best people, the best way to do it, and starting to implement it. What else would you recommend for listeners out there who can see that there are those threats that we've mentioned about the tsunami coming, about the retirement aspect, and also about customers now being able to experience world-class service? What are the next things that you would mention?
Well, I think it's get educated first of all, because the biggest challenge to adopting anything like this, change in business, change in life, is getting familiar enough and comfortable enough with it, at least to try it. And that's what scares a lot of people from the beginning. It's like, oh, it's like we're not. That's just way too. Oh, they just can't do that. Well, listen, if somebody else is doing it, you can do it. And if somebody else is to do it and you can mix it and do it in your own way, it's probably going to be a lot better. So get knowledgeable about it. Ask people, go see this stuff. Talk, we have the internet. Look, for goodness sakes, you could watch videos. YouTube is like the education on steroids if you want to learn about new technology. Just go out and start looking at things, because you have to get comfortable enough quickly to start identifying potential areas where this could help your business, and then start talking to people that can help you do it. And don't waste time on these initial ones trying to learn things yourself. I'm a do-it-yourselfer in a lot of things, but when it comes to technologies and you need to go fast, you have to hire the right people out of the gate, but get intelligent enough so you can ask the right questions and make sure you've got the right person, because they will take you far ahead. Your team's going to learn. Everybody's going to learn. Then maybe your team can take it after that in these next steps. But that first step, get really good help.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I know just yesterday, I had a guy come into my house and help me with my home studio and the lighting. I called many different lighting companies that are selling lighting materials. I said, do you do like a home consultation? And they're like, or an office consultation. And they're like, nope, you just got to come down and look at the lights and see what you can get and all that. But one company said, yeah. So they sent a guy, and I paid him for it. I said,
Yeah.
I'm happy to pay for it. He
Yeah.
came and looked at my space. He already made changes already without even selling me any of his products. And he's
Yes.
already made changes that have improved things dramatically. And now he's coming back with some proposals. And now I can see exactly how I can improve. And, we'll go to an expert right now. So we talked about number one, develop strategies, particularly focus on low hanging fruit. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about getting educated, and I wrote down bite the bullet and grow your knowledge. It's time to go. It's time to do it. You got
Yes.
YouTube, you got podcasts, you got company visits to customers. all those things, get the right person to try to help you and demand that you've got to move forward on these things because this tsunami is coming. Is there anything else
Yes.
that you would tell people from your experience of what they should be doing?
Speed.
Yeah.
Speed is everything. I don't care what, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Look at Amazon did it. I've been fortunate enough to do it in several manufacturing companies when I was running them back in the day, where if you look and you're in an industry where everybody does something in 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and you can come in and do it in half that time, everybody's going to think you're crazy. Everybody's
Mm.
going to think you can't do it, but you can. And you have to get really good to do it. You have to be very efficient to do it. And that also means you can do it at a lower cost than everybody else that's taking their time and wasting time and all these other things and poorer quality. But speed sells. It is a mantra that I do. I don't care if I'm working with a healthcare client, time to get my appointment scheduled to the time I'm in, for somebody that's putting flooring in homes, or I'm manufacturing cars. Because if someone told me that you could order your car today and a week from tomorrow it would be ready on the lot, how many people would buy that car compared to what they have to do now? I mean, you
Mm.
just think speed is so important to everybody because we want that instant gratification.
And
It's
why don't we have speed? Like if you're thinking about a typical client or a typical person out there that's running a business, what is it that's holding them back from speed?
They haven't looked at the process well enough.
Mm.
I mean, I'm an old process guy. And when you look at it and you get your teams together and you go, oh, well, how do we do things? First of all, because you look at the current state and then you go,
Mm.
okay, let's cut this in half. And everybody's going to go, oh, we can't do that. I said, well, what's the first thing that we have to do it? And you start stepping people through this process. And I've done it. I've seen it work. I've taken companies before that we had 8-week lead time on product, custom made product, and did it in 10 business days by the time we're done with it. This is the kind of thing you can do, but you have to go know really well what we're doing and throw that out after you figured it out and make it new, because it might mean that we have to redesign our services to be more efficient, the sequence of order, that how we do things. There's a lot of things that might need to change, but it's there. It's
Mm.
there for the taking. And when you do it, you can become the leader of an industry in your area, in your industry, whatever it is. If you do it, it's speed is something, and I'm so glad that Amazon did this umpteen many years ago, because it's hard to dispute it.
So Damon, for the listeners out there, they're like, yeah, oh, we're so slow. And every time I look at improving a process, it's like everybody's busy. I don't have time. Everybody's just like working like crazy. So how the hell am I going to get the time? I agree. I want to go faster. I want to improve these
Yeah,
processes, but every time I go at it, people just tell me I don't have time. What do we do?
you make the time.
Mm.
This is do or die. That's the thing. I've been in the turnaround where you either have to do or die. And there are times you should treat this like it's a turnaround, because if you don't realize it, it's happening.
Mm.
And somebody else is doing this. And watching young men here practice baseball until they go to the MLB. Some of my son's friends are playing in the MLB now. And it is the people that act like everybody else is there is going to practice a little bit harder than them if they don't practice harder. It takes that kind of mentality to do these things. And, industry leaders don't get there without a lot of smart people doing a lot of smart work. And that if you've got that kind of attitude, first of all, you need to step back and go, okay, first of all, how much of my day am I really doing that? And we can go down a whole different road with this, but
Mhm.
I'm just going to say there's a lot of time in your day if you throw out the junk.
So there's a great book that recently came out. It's called 10x is easier than 2x.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
And what you're talking about there is that you've got to throw out some things, and I would say every business is full of non-value added stuff that just grows and grows and grows. So as you've said, make the time, it's do or die. Someone else is going to eat your lunch. Things are moving at a fast pace. So I'm sorry that everybody's overloaded, but we have to make time for this, and we have to disappoint in another area in order
Mm-hmm.
to get this, because this is going to make a difference in our long-term, growth.
Yep.
Okay. So we got developing strategies to attack low-hanging fruit. We've got getting educated and figuring out what's going on, and then we're talking about speed. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience?
Just get started.
Yep, just start.
It's you know what you have to do. Business owners wake up knowing what they have to do every day. Cut the distractions, cut the crap out, get focused on that.
Yeah, great. And that's in my profit boot camp. My mantra is double your profits in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And people question that. That's a statement that's either going to piss someone off and say, I don't believe you, or it's going to say, someone's going to say, I want to do that. But either way, what I know is that it's not rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
People know their problems. They just don't deal with them, and they don't address them, and they don't fix them and move on to the next one and the next one to improve, improve, improve. And so, as you're saying, just start. You know what you have to do. Any good business owner that has a chance to survive in this accelerated situation, they know what to do. And so they've
Yes.
got to get on it, and they've got to put other stuff aside, and they got to start now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff that we just covered. And where is the best place for people to get you and get in touch and, learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Damon Pistulka, or just reach out to me. You can get on our website, exityourway.com. There's contact us forms. We got a bunch of business resource center downloads, all kind of stuff there too. But go ahead and check me out on LinkedIn, Damon Pistulka. There's only one of me in the world. Pretty easy to find.
Well, that is a great discussion about how to, well, I'm all about reducing risk, and this is about reducing the risk that you're going to die, that your business is going to die. So I want to thank you for joining the mission again and sharing your knowledge. Fellow risk takers, this is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotz, saying, I'll see you on the upside.